He thought she'd fold. Just another black woman he could silence. But by the time the night was over, she didn't just stand up to him. She set fire to the career he thought no one could touch. The highway was quiet that night. Dark, slick from a recent rain, with only a few passing headlights cutting through the mist. Streetlights buzzed and blinked, their glow stretching long shadows across the asphalt. Just outside Birmingham, Alabama, a little past 11 p.m., that dead hour. How warm ad Nehru, all be goyim, when the world seems to hold its breath. Lieutenant Commander Renee Dawson had been driving for nearly 2 hours. Her fingers tapped rhythmically on the wheel. An old jazz tune floated from the speakers, low and familiar. She wasn't in uniform, just a black sweater, jeans, hair tied back. She looked ordinary, that's what she thought. Then the lights appeared, red and blue pulsing violently in her rearview mirror. She didn't flinch, not out of fear. She was too seasoned for that. Just tired. She clicked her signal, pulled onto the shoulder, and parked, hands on the wheel. Slow breath in. She had done this before. The patrol car rolled up behind her. The officer took his time stepping out, each footfall heavy, entitled. One hand hovered near his belt. The other aimed a flashlight like a weapon. Through the mirror, she read his name, Briggs. License and registration. No greeting, just command. His voice was sharp, practiced, like he thought he was auditioning for control. Renee moved slowly. Glove box, documents, calm, deliberate. Was I speeding, officer? She asked. Briggs didn't respond at first. He studied the papers like they were foreign. Finally, taillights are out. She frowned. That's not possible. He cut her off. You arguing with me? The air changed. Subtle, but undeniable. That invisible tension that rises when power expects submission. Renee knew it well, from overseas deployments, from training row. This wasn't new. I'm just saying, she replied, measured. I had them checked, but if there's an issue, I'll get it fixed. Step out of the car, just like that. No reason, no hesitation, just command. She looked around. Empty road, no witnesses. Still, she moved. One tap on the wheel, one breath. She reached for the handle. Mind telling me why? She asked. Briggs smiled. If I say jump, you jump. She stepped out. The air was colder than she expected. She stood straight, not confrontational, not submissive, just unshaken. Briggs scanned her, sizing her up. How much can I get away with? His eyes said it before he did. Turn around, hands on the car. For what reason? He stepped closer. You resisting? No, I'm asking a question. That flicker in his eyes, annoyance, insecurity. He grabbed his radio. Non-compliant driver. Then louder. Turn around. Her heart rate stayed even. Calm. Officer, she said, voice. And I know exactly what you're not allowed to do. Briggs didn't like that. His jaw clenched. You're under arrest. He lunged for her wrist. For what? Obstructing an officer. So this was his game. Her training kicked in. Breathe, analyze, respond. She didn't resist, didn't escalate, just turned, slow and precise, hands on the roof, cold metal beneath her palms. He cuffed her. Too tight, shoved her toward the patrol car. You don't know what you're doing, she murmured. Briggs laughed. Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. But he didn't. Not even close. She sat in the back, cuffs biting into her skin. Silent, still, waiting. He climbed in, smug and humming. Most folks just shut up when I tell them to step out, he said. Renee looked at him through the glass. And most officers don't arrest people for speaking. He laughed. Lady, you must really think you're someone. She didn't blink. I don't think. I know. His knuckles tightened on the wheel. A pause. You military? She stayed silent. Thought so, he sneered. You've got that attitude. Thought I'd back down if you flashed a little rank, huh? Still, she said nothing. If you just shut your mouth, he muttered, we wouldn't be here. As if his actions were her fault. The station came into view. A squat, grim building, mostly empty. Graveyard shift. Briggs parked, smirked through the divider. I love when they make it easy. He yanked her out, dragged her past the disinterested desk sergeant, into processing, fingerprints, mugshot, routine. No one questioned it. No one cared. He grabbed her wrist again, tighter this time. You think you're smart? She looked at him. I don't have to think. He shoved her toward the cell. She caught herself, didn't fall, just turned, watched the bars slide shut, and smiled. He tapped the metal once, like he'd won something, then disappeared. Let the cold seep through her jeans. Just one night. That's all she needed. She'd been in combat zones with less dignity than this. But this was personal. Voices at the front desk murmured. Briggs returned. That same arrogant stride. He leaned on the bars. Comfy? She didn't respond. You know, he said, voice low, if you'd just played along. She smiled. Oh, I'm exactly where I need to be. He flinched, just a little. The smirk cracked. No one's coming for you, he said. You'll sit here all night thinking about that mouth of yours. She didn't blink. You think the rules don't apply to people like you? He kept talking, digging his own grave with every smug word. Then, footsteps. A younger officer approached, clipboard in hand, nervous. Sergeant? Briggs waved him off, but the kid hesitated. It's about the woman. You might want to take this. Briggs frowned, glanced at Renee, then followed. A call from command, someone asking why she'd been booked. Briggs's voice got low, agitated. The kid stammered. Then, footsteps again. Briggs returned, eyes blazing, hands clenched. What the hell did you do? He snapped. Renee looked up, calm as ever. Oh, she said. You'll find out. Renee leaned in, forearms resting on her knees. I didn't do anything, she said, voice calm, her head tilted slightly, eyes sharp. But people talk, and some of us, we've got friends in places you can't even reach. Briggs's expression darkened. That was it, the shift, the flicker of realization, control slipping from his grip. He turned abruptly, muttered something under his breath, and stormed down the hallway. Renee exhaled slowly. It was only a matter of time now. When the truth surfaced, he'd regret every decision that brought him here. Morning light poured through the courthouse windows, streaking across polished marble floors. The air inside was brisk, the kind of cold that burrows into your bones if you sit still long enough. Renee stood beside the defense table, No cuffs, no orange jumpsuit, no holding cell. Just a tailored navy blazer, a soft blouse, and an unshakable presence. Her attorney, Carla Whitman, stood beside her, efficient, focused, flipping through a stack of documents without wasting a glance. Renee respected that. The heavy courtroom doors creaked open. Briggs entered. He still moved like he ran the room, shoulders back, chin high, but Renee saw it. The hesitation, the stiffness in his stride, the crack in his confidence. Their eyes met. He looked away. Good. The judge entered moments later, Alan Kirkland, tired eyes behind thick glasses. He didn't waste time. "Let's begin," he said, flipping open the file. The prosecutor rose, a polished man in his 50s, hair neatly parted, voice steady. "Your Honor, we believe Lieutenant Commander Renee Dawson was detained. Further, evidence now points to a pattern of misconduct by the arresting officer, Sergeant Daniel Briggs." A ripple of whispers. Briggs stiffened. Judge Kirkland looked at him over his glasses. "Sergeant, care to elaborate?" Briggs cleared his throat. "Your Honor, the defendant was uncooperative during a routine stop." The prosecutor stepped forward, lifting a document. "Uncooperative?" he echoed. "Lieutenant Commander Dawson is a decorated naval officer, no criminal record, not even a parking ticket. Are you saying a broken taillight justified an arrest?" Briggs opened his mouth, then shut it. The silence was louder than any denial. The prosecutor continued, "And there's more. An internal review shows a troubling number of your traffic stops target black drivers." More murmurs, louder now. Briggs' jaw clenched. Judge Kirkland sighed, setting the file aside. "Sergeant, this is serious." Briggs folded his arms. She resisted. The prosecutor raised an eyebrow. "We have the footage." She didn't. "Let's watch it," the judge said flatly. A screen dropped. The video rolled. Renee didn't need to turn. She remembered every second. His raised voice, her measured calm, the sharp snap of the cuffs, and the smug look on his face as he tightened them. When the footage ended, the courtroom was silent. Judge Kirkland leaned forward. "You broke protocol, Sergeant. This was an unlawful arrest, and you omitted key details in your report." Briggs started to speak. The judge didn't let him. "Charges against Lieutenant Commander Dawson are dismissed, effective immediately, and I'm recommending a full internal investigation." The gavel cracked once, hard, final. Tension snapped like a wire. Briggs looked like he'd been gut-punched, face flushed, fist clenched, retreating into silence. Renee stayed poised, calm, in control. She gathered her things and glanced his way one last time. No words passed between them. None were needed, because this time he was the one on trial. Briggs left the courtroom, his boots echoing down the marble hallway. His shoulders were tight, his jaw locked. He could feel it, eyes watching, staff, reporters, even fellow officers. He wasn't used to this. He was used to authority, deference, fear. Now, power felt like it was bleeding through his fingers. And then came the voice. "Sergeant Briggs," he stopped. Chief Eldon Baker stood nearby, arms crossed, expression unreadable. The man was a legend on the force. 30 years in, respected, feared. Briggs straightened. "Sir, come with me." They disappeared into a side office. The door shut with a quiet click. "What the hell were you thinking?" Baker demanded, voice low and razor sharp. Briggs' reply was reflexive. "I was doing my job." "No," Baker snapped. He dropped a thick file onto the desk. "That's not what it looks like. That video, that history. And you didn't even recognize who you were arresting?" Briggs bristled. "What does that matter?" Baker leaned in. "It matters. She's a high-ranking naval officer. This isn't going away. She disrespected me." "No," Baker said. "She questioned you. That's not illegal." Briggs shook his head, muttering, "You don't get it. People like that, People like what? Baker's voice dropped. Dangerous now. Silence. Briggs looked away. Baker sighed. The DA is reviewing every case you've touched in the last 5 years. You've been flagged. Briggs swallowed. What does that mean? It means you're suspended. Effective now. Internal Affairs will be in touch. And if they find what I think they'll find... He stepped back. Your badge is gone. The words hit like a body blow. Briggs' face flushed red. This is bull. Don't finish that sentence. The chief turned away. Pack up your desk and get a lawyer. Briggs stood still, fists tight, world unraveling. For the first time in his career, he wasn't protected. He wasn't untouchable. Across town, Renee sat quietly in a small cafe. Her fingers stirred a cup of coffee as she scrolled through her phone. The headlines were everywhere. Body cam footage, wrongful arrest, officer suspended. She wasn't surprised. She'd known from the moment she stepped out of her car that night how it would go. Men like Briggs were predictable, entitled, reckless, protected, until now. Her phone buzzed. A message from Carla. Briggs is suspended. Charges may follow. Renee took a long sip. Good. She looked out the window as the city moved around her, life continuing. This fight wasn't over. But today was a victory. The door chimed as she stepped outside. The rain had passed, leaving the air fresh. She walked with quiet confidence, head high, shoulders squared. Another buzz. A familiar number. She answered. Lieutenant Commander, her captain greeted. I assume you've seen the news. I have. And how are you feeling? Renee paused, glancing at her reflection in a storefront window. No cracks, no fear. Like I did exactly what I was supposed to do. The captain chuckled. That's what I figured. A pause. Listen, the Department of Defense is taking interest. You might be asked to speak. She exhaled. Not sure I want to be a headline. You already are, he replied. And what happened to you speaks to something much bigger. She knew he was right. Briggs wasn't an outlier. He was a symptom of a system that let people like him operate unchecked. But this time the system blinked. This isn't the first time something like this has happened, she said. And it won't be the last. No, her captain agreed. But it's the first time Briggs is being held accountable, because you didn't back down. Renee closed her eyes for a second. Let it sink in. She hadn't backed down. Not when he pulled her over. Not in the cell. Not in court. And because of that, she won. One last thing, her captain added. You might be getting a call from the mayor's office. Oh? They want to recognize you for how you handled everything with grace. She smirked. Now that's ironic. You gonna accept it? Renee thought for a moment, then shrugged. I'll consider it. She hung up and tucked her phone away. Across the street, a mother walked hand in hand with her son, his laughter echoing down the sidewalk. Carefree, unburdened. That's who she had fought for. Not just herself, but for every child who deserved better. A future where a badge couldn't be used like a weapon. She inhaled deeply, then walked forward, unshaken, unapologetic, unstopped. Because this was never just about her. It never is. Unchecked power is abused power. And justice? Justice demands action. What happened to Renee happens far too often. To people without rank, without a legal team, without proof. That's why we can't stay quiet. If this story made you feel something, share it. If it made you angry, talk about it. And if it reminded you that the work isn't done, stay in the fight, because change doesn't begin with silence. It starts right here, with you. So hit that like button, subscribe for more stories that matter, and help us amplify the voices that need to be heard.